Tonight, in about the next 20 minutes or so, we'll be covering program health and safety updates from our April 30th meeting. If you missed that meeting or did not receive the follow-up items after the meeting, please let me know and we'll get that sent out after the meeting. It's also available on the council website. We're going to update you on the virtual camporee happening this weekend. And then we're going to talk about what should be happening at the breakout portion of this meeting, where Arrow Lights begin joining us probably about 6:25. So we'll begin that meeting at 6:30, and then we'll go into a group session into the different breakout rooms in our new neighborhoods. So first, this was sent out via email, but there has been an update for the BSA Health and Medical Record Part C. That is the part of the health form that requires a doctor's visit. And first question is, will your healthcare provider do an online visit? Many will, including Mankato Clinic, or will other community clinics do this? But for the sake of this discussion, let's assume that you cannot get a physical done this year or a virtual visit done this year. For this year only, National has allowed any physical after February 1st of last year to be extended through August 31st of this year, which means if you went to camp last year, in most cases, your physical probably will be good for this year. If that physical isn't done, another alternative is to, if they have a sports physical or a school physical or another wellness exam that's completed after the February 1st of last year, we'll accept that as a Part C. They just attach it to your Part A and B form. But we do need to note that the Parts A and B do need to be updated within 2 weeks before departure of camp, and that's in both circumstances. And that's mainly to make sure that all the medical information on that form is most up-to-date and accurate. If none of those work, please let us know. I have been in conversations with Dr. Don. I have been in conversations with our medical person at camp, Heidi Malling, and they're willing to work with the few people that may not fit any of these type of categories for getting the health forms done. So that should help with that for this year. Last night at our council executive committee meeting, our council attorney, Nick Maxwell, has drafted a hold harmless agreement. We'd like every one that comes to camp to sign. That will be coming out in an email. They'll be sent out immediately after this meeting, and it's also on the council website. One of the things that we found as the regulations started coming out for, in this case, places like River Bend that rent canoes and kayaks and stand-up paddleboards out to people, what to do about life jackets, because you need to have a 72-hour idle period between, say, me wearing a life jacket and then handing it over to you to wear. So because of that, if you have a scout participating in any boating activity that they will need to use a PFD, we ask that that scout bring their own PFD to camp. Now, if they don't have a PFD, obviously we have some PFDs at camp. What we'll do is number them and then check, say, Eric Kari out, life jacket number 4. Excuse me, life jacket number 4 will then be Eric's that week. We'll get that life jacket back by noon on Friday, which then allow us to check it out to somebody else by noon the next Monday on that. So to be sure that we have enough life jackets, again, if you have them, if you would please bring them, and we'll prioritize the life jackets that we have to those taking the merit badge classes at camp. There's a new symptom decision tree that has came out from National that we'd like everyone to do prior to even leaving the parking lot to wherever you're meeting. This document, again, will be sent out via email once this meeting is concluded. It's also on the council website. And we ask everyone to basically ask the following questions. Are you short of breath? Do you have a new or worsening dry cough? Do you have a fever of over 100.4 degrees? Do you have flu-like symptoms? Do you have vomiting? Do you have diarrhea? And if the answer is yes to any of those symptoms, we ask that that scout stays home, because if you get up to camp and someone in that car has those symptoms, everyone will be sent home. So it's very important that we do this prior to leaving for camp. If the answer is no for all of those, there's another set. Do you have a cough, an unexplained extreme muscle fatigue or muscle aches, a rash, a sore throat, or open sores? If you have any two of those symptoms, same thing, please stay home. And again, this will go out, so you'll have it, but it's a good checkpoint just to ensure that people that are coming to camp are well. Excuse me. Last Thursday, I was on a national webinar where we're talking about tentative guidance from the CDC that'll be coming out for camp. And as a result of that, a group of leaders got together on Monday. And I apologize if I get somebody. I know Chris and Becky Sandquist, Don Selly, Eric, or Tom Henderson, and forgive me if I missed somebody that's on the list that was on that call. I think Dennis Waskell was. And we kind of brainstormed how this may work. But let me go kind of through it. And we'll have some better guidance, my understanding, when Minnesota Health Department releases some camping guidelines starting this coming Friday. But what we believe the CDC's camp guidance will be is what they're calling a concentric circle concept. In short, you have two staff. That red in the middle there is the staff. We would call it unit leaders. And around those unit leaders, we have a group of 10 or 12 campers. Now, in big troops, we would call that a patrol. And in some cases, it's a full troop. And up to 4 of those light blue groups can be together at a time, which, if you do the math, is about 50 people. So if you're a large troop, say Troop 25 in New Ulm, you're probably at what I'm calling a pod all to yourself. If you're a small group, bringing, so let's say 10 kids to camp, you might be paired with another troop of 10 kids to function in what they're calling this concentric circle. Now, where this comes into about is those pods do not intersect with each other. So the things we do at camp, that group of about 50 people need to work together to do the activities and the programs at camp separate from everybody else while they're at camp. So which means our merit badge schedule that we have now most likely will basically be thrown out the window. But we still would like everybody to, by June 1st, 1, register, and 2, even register for the merit badges. And the reason is it will tell us where the interest level is in order to put together, if you will, this new program. So this group I told you that met on Monday to kind of discuss this concept, how it might look. And instead of, because of this concentric circle concept, what would happen is if you're in the pod in the lower left-hand corner, you could not be taking a merit badge, say canoeing merit badge, with a kid from any of the other 3 pods that you see there. So anyway, this group on Monday was talking about how to make this work. And what we talked about was to do some group scheduling type of activities, but and really do a deep dive, if you will, into some major scout skills. So, example I would use is Pioneering Merit Badge. In Pioneering Merit Badge, if you took Pioneering Merit Badge, you may take, you're in the class for about an hour, and throughout the week, you tie the knots that are necessary, you do the lashings that are necessary, but your pioneering project is probably making a tripod or something. Well, what if we did those same type of skills, but then utilize those skills to build a bridge or build a tower or something along those lines? The other thing that was discussed was really to have a need for a first-year camper program, and those kids to have an experience that's different from anyone that's a 2, 3, 4, 5-year camper. A la carte programming. So here is a group of things that are available during this time frame. What do you like? Now, I apologize. I know I'm being vague at this point because we're just starting to come up with these ideas and suggestions. And the several members of the camp staff have kind of been briefed, and they are starting to think through this whole thing of how camp would look like. And we kind of came to this. Camp will look different this year than it has in the past. Camp can be fun, and we have an awesome camp staff that once we know what these guidelines are, once we know where the interest level based on the merit badges that your kids sign up for, we'll be able to put together a great, fun program to work with your kids and have a fun time at camp. And we will be getting some more and additional information out on this. I'm going to look at Becky, Chris, Lisa, anything you want to add to that conversation that we had since you guys were on the call on Monday night? Because I tried to do that pretty quickly.
Nope, I think that covered it.
Eric, do you want to talk a little bit about the camporee?
Ray?
Sure. Oh, go ahead.
Ray, this is Steve. Say, the concentric circle, I think people, well, right now we're still taking a look at that as a plan B, right?
Yes, but I do believe that this will be the guidance. Something that I talked to actually Northern Tier today, both them and Andrea Watson, who I got this tentative guidance from, they're actually working with folks at the CDC to come up with this plan. That's how come they have the tentative plan, but no one else does. So I do believe this will be the what's coming out of the CDC and even the Minnesota Department of Health, but I don't know that for sure until Friday. That's why we're gonna wait until Friday.
Okay.
So, Eric, camporee.
Wait,
Sure.
before
Oh, go
we
ahead.
start, I just say something. Sorry, I forgot to unmute before. Mankato Clinic is doing physicals. My neighbor had one last week, and mine is Friday, and I did my blood work today. So, and I've had it scheduled for months. So, hers was at the main clinic, and mine was at Wickersham's. So, just to let you know that.
Thank you.
Yep.
And just one more thing to add before moving on to the spring camporee. I know that there was some questions originally about like the age. How do we keep the first years occupied? How do we keep the older scouts engaged in that? And I think really the potential of these pods is really to come up with scout skills that are really independent, almost like project-based or other things that are building on those scout skills. So it won't necessarily be checking off each of the roles of tenderfoot or first class, second class, or each part of the merit badge, but it'll be looking at these common skills like knots and adventuring and being outside together. So it has a lot of potential with our crossover to engage the scouts outdoors and together and build on the skills that are foundational.
Yeah, so if you have, let's say, 5 staff, I'm making these numbers up, 5 staff that are assigned to your pod, it's also possible for maybe one or two of them to work with your first year kids, while the other two or three work with your older kids. Again, we don't know how this is all going to look yet, because we've got to get the detail other than circles on the screen. But once we get that, we can put together a lot more detail that we can then push back out to you. And like Lisa said, the kind of consensus of the group is, let's take those scout skills and really do a deep dive on them. And since there's different levels, just like in the book, having some programs for younger, intermediate, and advanced scouts that are together, really doing a deep dive on those skills and nature type programs and what have you. So thank you.
So you're
Okay.
saying that an Eagle Trail first year scout, that one of the staff that might be working with their pod would work with those new scouts to do first class, second class.
Yeah.
So-
Details I can't tell you, but yes, the consensus of the group was there needed to be some sort of breakout for those new scouts, so that they had some sort of special instruction beyond what the 2, 3, 4, 5-year-olds year scouts have. But it still has to be done within this singular pod. So the first year scouts, I don't know if you can see my cruiser or not, if there's 4 pods on the screen, there's got to be 4 separate first year programs happening at the same time simultaneously. But I can't go into detail how that will look yet, because we don't know.
And one of the things, Tom, is that a lot of the things that are those rank advancements in the first year are also a ways to go deeper with certain merit badges or certain scout skills too. So instead of like just having a Eagle Trail focusing on first aid, we might have a day where we focus on many different aspects of first aid, where first years would be doing these parts and these skills, and then the older kids would be working on edge method with these skills, and so on and so forth. So it'll be more about the skills, even though we'll still hit them with all of the pieces.
Let's go on to the fall camporee, so we're sure we get through our agenda prior to the Weeblos joining us. And if we have time, we'll go back to questions. So Eric.
Yeah, thanks, Ray. This coming weekend, we have our first, and dare I say, hopefully only virtual camporee we ever have to do. But the volunteers were really wanted to have something for scouts to do, because we've had to cancel a lot of things. So today is the registration deadline. You still have through midnight to register, so encourage your scouts to register. When you get off this call, maybe send a quick email out. Remind people we have about 50 people registered so far. A few highlights. What Ray's got on the screen right now is kind of a grid. Scouts, their families, anyone can really participate in this. It doesn't just have to be the scout. A lot of the activities, all of the activities can be done at home or in their neighborhood. The family can participate in some are just designed for the scout to be done on their own, and others are done live with somebody. So we've got the art merit badge and the fishing merit badge that will be done live. Our own Lisa Boomgarden is going to be teaching art. New Ulm area sports fishermen will be teaching the fishing merit badge. As a part of the entire weekend, all scouts are encouraged to post photographs of things they do. And post them on our Facebook page. So coming up Friday, you'll see a bunch of new posts that will show up on our council Facebook page. We encourage you to post photos, stories, videos. Scouts who catch a fish, they just have to catch a single fish, take a photograph, and post it to our website or our Facebook page, will be entered into a contest to basically win the use of canoes, kayaks, stand-up paddleboards at Cedar Point for their entire patrol. The only qualification is catch a fish and take a photograph and post it on the website or a Facebook page. I'm saying website. Let's see, other things that will be going on. We are going to do a virtual camporee. You may have seen it on our Facebook page. But we are accumulating videos, and there's a link on our Facebook page, and we'll make sure that gets reposted and re-emailed out. But scouts can pre-record themselves doing a skit, song, a run-on. They can, again, using virtually, they could do something with their patrol. But then Mason Boom Garden will take all those videos and compile them together, and then we will have a live campfire Saturday evening. We'll also be doing a chapel service on Saturday as well. Liz Paul is putting all those pieces together for that. She's getting scouts to pre-record various pieces of the chapel service. And again, we will, as a group, as a community, we will watch that together. We will have live flag ceremonies Friday evening, Saturday morning, and Saturday evening. Those will be on our Facebook page. We will follow Friday night's flag ceremony immediately with a leader scout cracker barrel right here on Zoom. And we can all join together and bring your own beverage and food, and just sit around and we'll just chit chat for a while. The other big thing is there's a patch design contest going on. Scouts are encouraged to design a patch for the event, and that will be the patch that everybody gets at the end. Basically, you just need to go to the Twin Valley Council website to register for the event. The cost is $5 to participate, which basically just covers the cost of the patch. If you take a merit badge, there's some additional cost there. Otherwise, again, Ray's got the grid up on the screen with all the activities. Scouts are asked to do at least one in each area. And then 4 more for a total of 10. But they can do as many as they want. They can camp out in their backyard. I talked to somebody today, says, do we have to camp in the backyard? I says, no. If you want to do it on your back porch, in your living room, whatever you want to do. I mean, if I were a scout, I'd say, hey, I'm tired of being in the house. I want to get outside. So I encourage you to set up a tent outside, take lots of photos throughout the weekend, throw them on our website, and again, visit our council Facebook page or website to get registered. So I think that covered everything. If I forgot something or somebody else got something else, feel free to jump in.
One thing to add with the camping, because of the changed requirements of the pandemic, this event, if the scouts do camp out, does count towards the rank requirements of campouts and troop activities. So even if your troop is not participating because it's a council event, it can count towards the rank pieces of those things.
So fall camporee, Lisa, you want to say something quickly about this?
Sure. So many of you got the notice. We are canceling Expo 2020 for this year, and we've moved it to the September 11th of 2021. We left that weekend. That weekend had been open pretty much because it was planning for Expo. So we decided to plan for a fall camporee for that weekend. We are looking to have 2 smaller camporees, one at Norseland and one at Cedar Point. We are looking at a Friday to Sunday event. Troops would choose between Norseland or Cedar Point. We would have some light programming on Friday night, some merit badges on Saturday morning, and then maybe some service or some activities in the afternoon. We could do a campfire. We could do a chapel service in the evening. And then Saturday morning, we would pack up and head home. Kind of similar for those of you who have participated in the Win-Win event at Norseland. We are in the early stages right now of planning this event, and I would love some help with this. I am chairing it, but I would love to have a committee for the Norseland group and a committee for the Cedar Point, so we can work together and have a similar event, but still unique and individual for our scouts. So if you are interested in helping at all, if you've got some insight or some other ideas for either or, I am looking to get a committee together to meet early June, late May to start planning this great event.
Okay, the last thing, because we have Weeblos will be joining us any minute. Actually, there's a couple of them starting to join us now. The first part, we're going to have a group meeting just like this. You'll hear some of the same stuff you just had because we'll have a new group joining us. But what we hope to do is to give troops a chance to introduce themselves to Arrow Lights, invite them to join and or become connected with your troop. Tell them about anything, upcoming virtual meetings and events that you'll be hosting between now and camp. Invite them to attend camp with you, with your troop, and answer any specific questions that they may have about your troop, about camp, or anything of that nature. And then, of course, exchange contact information. When we do break you out into breakout groups, we will not be coming back. So feel free to talk and visit however long you feel you would like. If it happens to be 10 minutes, that's fine. If it happens to be an hour, that's fine. It's kind of up to you and your groups. So that concludes this part of the meeting. We'll stop for about 5 minutes as other people join us, and then we'll kick off again at 6:30.